Hello, my name's Craig Lothian. I've recently started the company Green Door Property Auctions. Now, the reason for this short video is just to really address some of the myths that seem to be quite common within the industry. So there's 5 that I can really think of off the top of my head really. If there's any more that you think I've missed or anything, then just let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can address them at a later date. So let's go through them one by one. The first one, now you'll need to excuse me, I'm referring to my screen here, but I hope that's okay. So let's go through them one by one. So the first one, the property's at auction, what's wrong with it? Now listen, there's not necessarily anything wrong with a property at auction. It's still bound by the same rules as a property that's on the open market, which means that you will have access to a home report. You should always review home report bidding for anything, whether it's an open market or auction. So refer to that, and from there you'll see if there's something wrong with the property. Don't just assume that because it's at auction there's something wrong with it. Now, something to bear in mind is that there's a number of reasons why sellers choose to sell property at auction, and it's not always because the house has fallen down. So it could be that they like the auction because competitive bidding can be excellent for driving up the sale value. It could be that the seller likes to get the shorter completion times that you get from auction, or it could be that the seller likes the security of getting a 10% deposit. Upon an offer being accepted. You don't get the same level of sales falling through from the auction, from an auction sale, as you do on the open market, which again, so that's possibly one of the reasons why a seller might want to use a company like ourselves. Now, as I say, there's any number of reasons why they could use an auction company for selling, and it's not necessarily there's something wrong with it. So get that out of your head. That's not necessarily the case, alright? So, right, what have we got? What's next? So buying at auction is only for cash buyers. Again, that's not the case. So I've sold numerous properties in the past to people who have required a mortgage. Now, just to be clear though, there are a few things that you would need to check out and investigate before buying at auction if you're going to go down that route, if you require a mortgage. The first thing I would say, get a mortgage advisor. You need to go and have a good mortgage advisor. So what you want to be checking with them first of all is, typically with an auction purchase, standard completion is normally 28 days, but check that from the legal pack before you bid. So if you work on assumption it's 28 days for a completion no, as a starting point, you'll need to check with your mortgage advisor that they're able to get the funds through in that timescale. If they're not, don't worry, it's not necessarily a deal breaker. All you need to do is just let us, or whatever auctioneer company you're buying from, if you let them know that you require a mortgage and you might want a 5 or 6 week completion time, typically what would happen is we would contact the seller and say, listen, Joe Bloggs wants to buy the property, but they might need an extra week or 2. Is that okay? Now, 9 times out of 10, if the sellers get the money they're looking for, why would they object if they can get that? If it means an extra week or 2. So it's unlikely to be an issue on that front. So another couple of things that you would really want to be getting checked out. First of all, make sure the property is mortgageable. So again, refer to the home report first of all, but also speak to your mortgage advisor. Just double check with them the property is mortgageable. Now, if it's not mortgageable, speak to your mortgage advisor. So I know I'm repeating myself here, but it's really important. The reason I'm saying that is if it's not mortgageable at present, there may be alternative source of borrowing available to you, such as a bridging loan or something like that, but that's something you'd really have to get expert advice from mortgage advisor. So that's another thing to take into account for there, but all points back to the fact that even if you require a mortgage, you can still buy at auction, okay? Just, I suppose the key message there is take advice from a mortgage advisor, but it's very much still possible. And if there's anything we can help with on that front, just let us know. We've got a number of good relationships with mortgage advisors and we'd be happy to point you in the right direction if there was a property that you liked from us. Right, so let's move on to the next one. What have I got here? No, we've done that one. Selling at auction, isn't that expensive? No, it's not. No. So Now you will need to excuse me because I'm probably having to go switch a wee bit between a sales pitch for Green Door and explaining and challenging some of the myths from buying at auction here. Now we basically charge a fixed fee of £500. Okay, so £500 is all you're going to pay us. Now what happens with that? No money would actually come directly from you to us. What happens, we take a 10% deposit from any prospective buyer once their offer's been accepted. Before we transfer that money to your solicitor, we would just take our fee of £500. Now for that £500, you're getting excellent value in that your property is going to be marketed on some of the UK's largest property portals, which if you're to look at selling your house on the open market, I would be surprised if you're to find too many cheaper than £500. So there's not really too much else to say on that front, and that it's not as expensive as a lot of people think. Say it's £500 to get property sold. On top of that, you need to get your home report, which you would need to get regardless of what way you're selling, and your pay for your solicitor. Again, that's going to be needed regardless of how you're selling your property. So again, don't be put off by that. So hopefully that deals with that one. So the next one I've got here, selling at auction is just giving away the property cheaply, should say. Now, just to clarify one thing, it's not myself or any other auction company who will dictate the value of your property. The market will dictate the value of your property. One thing again I would want to clarify as well, we are not a quick buy company. So there's a time and a place for them. Good luck to them. I wouldn't say anything against them. That's people who you might be getting mixed up with when it comes to just giving away the property cheaply. At auction, our job is to drive the value up through to trying to get competitive bidding, and we want to get as much for your property as we can. It's also worth remembering that you would have a reserve price. So if you've got just to pick a number out of thin air, if you've set a reserve price of £100,000, if you get an offer of £95,000, then it's up to you. You can accept it or you cannot accept it. There's no pressure either way. It's your property, so it's up to you whether you want to accept that bid or not. So as I say, no obligation to accept any bids less than how much you need to achieve for it. So yeah, not something to be concerned about there in terms of just giving away cheaply. We want to get as much for you as we can. So the next one. So the next one's moving on to buying at auction is risky. As long as you're doing your research, it's not. So if you're going to buy a property, now I've covered this before, but basically it's so important to do your research. Now that's true whether you're buying at auction or whether you're buying on the open market. So if you're buying from us, or auction I should say, any auction house, but hopefully us, then you would get the legal pack, you'd speak to your solicitor, you would do your sums, your own sums, just to make sure that they tally up with what you've read online, things like that. So you would do your research, you've taken your legal advice, you've visited the property if that's an option. It's not always a possibility, especially in the current climate, but ideally you want to try and visit the property. Now as long as you're doing all that research like you're supposed to do, then there is no reason why buying at auction should be any riskier than buying on the open market. Effectively, it's the major difference one of the major differences when buying at auction is that your due diligence gets done before you offer for it. So that's really is so important that you do that before offering. But again, I would recommend, and I'm sure most people would do that before offering for a property, whether you're buying it from an auction company or from an estate agent. So I think that covers the 5 myths that really get to me when I hear them said so often. So hopefully this video has been of some use. If you want to speak to us again about this, then you can contact us through our website, www.greendoorpropertyauctions.co.uk, or you can give us a call on 0131 322 8550. But yeah, as I say, I hope that's been helpful. Cheers then, bye now.